Bet you didn't think that they would come crashing down. No. You don't have to say what you did.
What is up, guys? I figured the opening of that song would be appropriate because of the rain that's going to be happening today. Basically, we already got one game postponed, and there's like 5 other games that are in question for tonight. So we're going to be talking about that. I do want to bring on our guest. Hopefully, Davis Maddock will be joining us in about 15 minutes. So, you know, he's a college kid. He has his priorities like tattoos, so he's going to be getting in big trouble later. But not to worry. I'm here filling in the meantime. I do want to introduce our guest, Derek Carty. Derek just wolfed down a huge plate of Chinese food, like in the past 3 minutes.
It was impressive.
Derek, how goes it, man? I think you might still be on mute from...
I'm not hearing anything.
I think he muted himself when he was eating.
Yep, I did mute myself because I was eating. So you can hear me now, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So, did you say anything important or not really?
Just that I have a couple bites left, so deal with it.
Boom.
Oh, man. So now the Pirates and Orioles have been postponed?
This is a fun day as far as weather goes, let me tell you.
Oh, man. Okay, well, that's going to be
that's going to be interesting. I do want to introduce this next guy who needs no introduction, filling in for Drew Dinkmeyer, who went off on the last second to go see his buddy Ed Lucas, who is playing with the Marlins. So Ed Lucas got the call up, and he's starting today. So Drew's going to go root his buddy on Ed. But Mike...
Leonum, don't call me Leone. Mike, can you stand up a little bit so people can see the getup that you're wearing?
Yeah.
It's all the purple right now.
It's all the purple. All the purple.
Do you know what song I want to sing?
Purple Rain? I don't know.
No, not Purple Rain. I want to sing Happy Birthday.
Thanks, Dave. Do you want to, or are you going to? Is my internet screwing up?
Yeah, hold on.
I don't know why it does that. I don't know why it did that. New shot, I guess. But basically, it's your birthday today.
It is. I'm getting old.
How old are you?
Almost 30. How old do you think I am?
27.
Wow. You're good. Right on the dot.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like there's like you and Tuttle and Derek. You're all kind of in that same mid-20s range. And then there's like me and Ben in our 30s. I think STL, he's in his 30s because his handle is 84. And then you've got like the old guys like Tommy G, Dan, Dink. The old guys. And then the really old guys like Al and Papa Cup. So that's kind of how I kind of get. And then the young guys like Jordan and Davis. So anyways, want to talk about just the weather today. Okay, so we've got the Dodgers and Minneapolis game postponed. Now we've got officially the Pirates and the I was going to say the Bucks. What am I thinking? The Pirates game postponed, and then we have Duck Plucker, who said he's single and ready to mingle. In the chat, I don't even know what to do with that. I guess he's doing the age, sex, language thing, ASL. But then we have these games: the New York game, the Baltimore game, the Sox game, White Sox, that is. And is there another one? Maybe the Royals?
Royals.
Jeez Louise. I mean, there's going to be a ton of games. Here's where I see like the benefit is for people that are really paying attention. You can benefit by staying away from these games that other people might play. So not just on the Insider, or not just on Fantasy Elite, who, by the way, sponsors this show. You might not have heard it earlier because I was echoing it and I didn't say it. But shout out to Fantasy Elite sponsoring the show. We'll get on to drafting later. But like on a site like FanDuel especially, if you register earlier on in the day, you are going to find some of your games feature opponents that play guys in rained out games. It never fails. Never fails for me. I want to get your take on that, Mike, as far as registering early in games that there is heavy rain.
Yeah, I mean, originally, when I looked at the slate last night, I think it was Ben who pointed out all the rain games. And I was thinking, man, I might just avoid cash games tomorrow. But then, after thinking about it some more, if people are going to take risks on these rain games and maybe take some zeros, especially on a full slate, I really don't think you have to. And I think there's definitely an advantage for just avoiding them.
Yeah, so you have, and not only that, you also have people that, the high-stakes players that are not going to be putting in as many multi-entry. I mean, how many $2 multi-entry games is Nap going to put in tonight? Probably not a whole lot. So that, because you have weather consistently changing, it's different on late swap sites like Fantasy Elite and DraftKings, where if the news gets out a little bit early, the postponements, that you can change them out. But tonight, most of the games are happening at either 7 Eastern or 8 Eastern. So we're going to know early on which games are basically have weather or not. So late swap might not be that much of a factor tonight. Derek, your thoughts about this weather?
It sucks. Basically, every single matchup that I was identifying has, weather concerns. So, I mean, I think your thing about, signing up for games early in the day is brilliant, because if people aren't, going back and checking their lineups closer to game time, there's definitely, some value to be had there. I think we have kind of a tough slate today. I don't think you necessarily have to gamble on the weather, guys. I think there are alternatives, but it's tough when all the best matchups have this going on.
Can we talk about Owenges, who just won the internet by saying he just got in the chat and doesn't know why Mike is wearing camouflage?
I have nothing to say to JJ.
JJ, be nice. It is Mike's birthday, so you have to be nice. So yeah, that's Baltimore Pittsburgh game officially postponed. Steve in there a little bit late. So weather, though, yeah, Tommy G mentioned it. It's a huge factor as far as gaining an edge over an opponent, especially when you have sites like FanDuel that are advertising all over the place and you get tons of small fish in there. So going to be interesting tonight. Also, not a bad idea to throw in a GPP low stakes, like a $2 moonshot game, where you play some teams that have rain risk. Because like last night, we thought that the Chicago White Sox game might be postponed, like having a hard time getting in, but it actually played, scored 7 runs. So thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I wouldn't throw a lot of money at it, but
I didn't say a lot of money. I said low stakes GPP.
Yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay, well, stop. Gosh, I feel like the fact that you're wearing a tie and all purple is like
feel good.
Trying to be all better than me.
Well, I don't need a tie for that, but no, it makes sense because you want contrarian plays, and this is like a chance to get contrarian plays that would have been, just good plays if it wasn't for the weather. You know what I mean? Like usually the contrarian plays are guys that aren't as good of plays, So here you can get the top plays and still get a low ownership. So it definitely makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of a weather segment that I'm going to do as soon as Davis kind of gets on towards the middle to end of the show. Just know that your mind is going to be blown by what we have prepared. Basically, we'll just move on to pitchers. Derek, I saw you mentioned that Greinke obviously is going to be replaced by Lance Lynn, going up against not a very good lineup at all. And I want to talk about you fading Jose Fernandez in your article. I read it. I saw Jose Fernandez. It had originally the lowest over-under with not a heavy favorite, but a favorite for the Marlins. So that would be very much a contrarian play. That would just go ahead and be your I'm going to regret this segment for later on today. But now it looks like there might be you might be just like some sort of genius that's hooked up to Vegas. But I want to know your thoughts on Jose Fernandez, and then we'll get into the whole Lance Lynn segment.
Yeah, Fernandez didn't make my article today. If I was rewriting it now, I think he'd be on there. If you look at who the Braves are trotting, I think the Braves offense is good. In a vacuum, without when I'm writing this ahead of time, not knowing who's going to be in the lineup, I think the Braves are a good enough offense where Fernandez wouldn't have made my top 6 in terms of value, at least. But now you look at who the Braves are playing tonight. Justin Upton is sitting, B.J. Upton is sitting, Chris Johnson is sitting, Dan Uggla is sitting, and the Braves have kind of an ugly-looking lineup. So now I'm kind of backpedaling on the Fernandez fade a little bit. I definitely think he's a viable option. I don't think he's my top option for value. He'd be my top option overall, I would think, but not for value. So I could still see fading him a little bit in the right kinds of contests. I mean, the Braves have Ramiro Pena batting second tonight. They have Ryan Domit batting 5th. Tyler Pasternicky's in there, Jordan Schaefer. So the lineup's a lot softer than I was expecting it to be when I was writing the article.
Yeah, Mike, your thoughts on Jose Fernandez? Because I feel like now Jose Fernandez may not get the strikeouts that you want, but
yeah, I'm not I'm kind of the opposite of Derek. That lineup didn't exactly make me happy as someone who has Jose Fernandez, because even though those guys might be better overall hitters, I mean, strikeouts are king, and you take B.J. Upton and Uggla out, that's almost 4 automatic strikeouts the way they've been swinging the bat. But I look at it a little different. I don't really look at value too much in starting pitchers. There's degrees depending on the pricing, but you're on FanDuel, you almost don't care about the value too much within reason, just because your base points from pitching are so high. You just kind of want to identify who the top guy is and roll him out there. So, I'm all over Jose Fernandez. I'm not really playing cash games tonight on FanDuel, but if I was, I'd be rolling Fernandez.
Yeah, in a one-pitcher site like FanDuel, where you're playing cash games, I can totally see just going with Fernandez and just, calling it right there for your pitchers. But I think Cole Hamels is, especially if you need to free up a little bit of extra cash because there's a couple extra hitter bargains you want to get into your lineup, I think paying a little bit less and going with Cole Hamels in cash games is very viable tonight, assuming the weather.
Yeah, I didn't. There were 6 games that I just completely threw out before I even started writing today, and that was one of them. It's clearing up a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it's been clearing up throughout the day, the forecast, so that's why I don't know, he's still on my radar.
Yeah, it's clearing up. I usually don't like to take pitchers in rain threats, especially because even if you just get a delay, that could mess them up. You might only get a few innings depending on when the delay occurs.
And especially in a cash game, you don't necessarily need to to take a risk like that.
But there's some, like, even if you look at like Draft Street, the way they change their pitcher scoring, you can almost roll two. I'm usually a big proponent of going 3 starting pitchers, but now the way they upped strikeouts to a full point, sometimes I could see just going 2 starting pitchers and taking a guy like Fernandez and 2 of the top starting pitchers, and they might outscore someone else's 3 starting pitchers with those strikeouts just worth so much. And Fernandez has just been unreal this year. I think his xFIP is under 2. His strikeouts per 9 is, he's at 13.36 Ks per 9 and just 1.7 walks per 9. Obviously, it's not going to stay that way, but I think he's legitimately, like a 2.5 ERA pitcher with 10 plus Ks per 9, and then you get him at home in that ballpark. I'm having a tough time. I think he should be in cash games on all sites.
Yeah, the thing with Fernandez is, obviously, like, you look at that, but we're not even a month into the season yet. Basically the most we can say is that Fernandez is a very good pitcher. He's elite. He's one of the best. He's not, sub 2 xFIP good, but he's a great pitcher.
But you don't think he's around a 2.5 ERA guy? 2.5 to 2.75.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I don't think he's a slam dunk cash game play tonight. I do think there are other options, but on a one pitcher site, I think you almost have to go with him. But I don't think it's necessary. I do think there are other cash game plays that are viable tonight. Yeah,
I would agree. It's not a must play. I think it might be the best play. But you got Kane at home, and we'll do the Lance Lynn segment. I think Derek and I are both on the same page there from the sounds of how Kitchen was setting it up.
Yes. And I think you did say he's a must-play for cash games, and then you just kind of backpedaled.
This is the backpedal segment.
Oh,
so Derek's backpedaling from the fade, and I'm backpedaling from the must-play. So you're the producer and host, so you really should have known that.
I'm sorry. I forgot this was... And that's the backpedal segment of the day. Sponsored by Darrell Rivas. Get it?
Oh, you have that smirk on your face like, I'm so clever. I thought of that on the spot.
Oh, well, I always have that smirk on my face. Lance Lynn, or I'm sorry, before we move that point, someone in the chat, D. Barizo, to Derek's point, mentions that Vegas now went from a minus 125 to a minus 141.
And the total is 6.
For the Marlins. So, Derek was saying that now he would be more inclined to play Jose Fernandez with some of those even with Ugla and the Uptons out. So, certainly is interesting. All right, Lance Lynn, basically, we don't have to spend a ton of time, but basically both you guys love him tonight.
Yeah, the Brewers lineup is ugly as hell tonight. Braun and Segura are still, both out. Jonathan Lucroy is sitting out tonight. They have Elian Herrera batting second. We talked about him last night, how basically he's got some speed, but his bat is below average. He's not very good. Scooter Janae is batting third, and I'm going to continue to mispronounce his name because it sounds cooler that way. Lyle Overbay is batting fifth. It's just an ugly lineup tonight.
Yeah, and I had him ranked third on my list, and now I think I have him second, but I think sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, of abusing, right-handed pitchers against Milwaukee just because they're heavily right-handed. But with a guy like Lance Lynn, I think it makes a lot of sense. You got 7 out of the 9 bats are right-handed, and
6 out of the 9, but still.
Is it 6 out of the 9? Oh, Herrera's switch.
Yeah.
But so 6 out of the 9, and Lynn against right-handed batters has allowed, a 277 weighted on-base average with a 28.6 K rate. Those are some pretty absurd numbers. He gets in trouble when he faces left-handed batters, but last time he faced his team with Braun and some of the other guys in the lineup, he struck out 11 in 7 innings, didn't give up, any runs, and I think we could see a similar outing tonight, and he's at home tonight. He was away for that start.
Tommy mentions 5 out of 8. Pitchers aren't batters.
Well, when he strikes out the pitcher... 2 to 3 times, I'll remind Tommy.
Oh! And then he takes a sip. That's like Leone's dropping
the mic!
Yes! Oh, nice. That was the drop the mic segment of the day. Any other pitchers as far as GPP plays, kind of contrarian plays that you guys like tonight? There's CC. Someone mentioned Matt Cain earlier in the chat. Derek, anybody that you were recommending as far as maybe off-the-wall type plays for tonight?
Absolutely, CC. I think for value, CC's my second pitcher tonight after Hamels, which he might not even be worth playing with the weather. We'll have to see. But I love CC tonight. I love CC. In general, I think more than most people do. I think just because he's been so bad so far and because he was so bad last year, people aren't going to be on him. His velocity is down this year, but he is pitching, fairly well. If you look at his xFIP, it's like really good. It's in like the 2s, I think. He's striking guys out. He's not walking anyone. He's getting ground balls. And I think he's kind of evolving a little bit. He's learning how to pitch without that velocity. He's had some home run issues, but a lot of that can be chalked up to small sample sizes. And he's just got a great matchup tonight. He's playing at home against a very weak Seattle lineup, a Seattle lineup that has quite a few lefties in it. Actually, not as many tonight as normal, but some of the guys that are replaced aren't very good. Willie Bloomquist and Cole Gillespie are in there, Stefan Romero. So it's not like even if they're righties, they don't invoke a lot of fear. So. I like CC a lot tonight. I think Kane is a solid play. I think Alex Wood is a good play. But the other thing I really like about CC is we're talking about guys like Jose Fernandez and even Lance Lynn. And they're up against pretty strong pitchers themselves. Lynn is up against Kyle Loesch, who we all know I have a little man crush on. Fernandez is up against Wood. Wood is up against Fernandez. But CC's up against Chris Young, who's just going to get destroyed. A fly ball pitcher a crappy fly ball pitcher going into Yankee Stadium against, a really good lineup, he's just going to get obliterated.
Yeah, I think Derek and I are on the same page a lot. I think CC's an awesome tournament play. His ERA is the exact same as last year, and
but it's for different reasons. Like there's the reason he's underperforming his xFIP this year is different.
I know. I was agreeing with you. I was getting there.
Oh, okay, Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
That was my setup. I was gonna say people are probably just gonna look at that and think he's still crappy, but the xFIP, as Derek said, is 2.69. The best he's ever had. Obviously, small sample size, but the strikeouts are up, the ground balls are up, the walks are down, the home run to fly ball rate. When I see a high one, the two things I look at are the line drive rate and the pop up rate, and see if there's something weird going on there. And there's nothing really weird going on there. He's allowing the same amount of line drives he has for his career, same amount of pop-ups. So I think that's completely small sample size related. Maybe a little bit to do with the velocity. But I think that's a really good, GPP play. I'm not as high on him, in cash games just because I still don't completely trust him. But I think he's going to be owned less than he should in tournaments.
Yeah, I think cash games on like 2 or 3 pitcher sites, he's a good play. I don't think on FanDuel. I think he's a viable cash game play on FanDuel, but not as much as he would be on another site.
Well, looky, who's decided to join us?
Let's see that fresh ink.
I didn't. It's covered right now. I didn't mean to be late, everybody. I made the appointment like 2 weeks ago. Put the deposit down, non-refundable, and it was at 1:00, and it took 3.5 hours. So I was not expecting that.
As long as you didn't mean to be late, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that's how it works, right? It's like we just judge everyone by intentions. I didn't mean to play Madison Bumgarner last night. I meant to play Sonny Gray. So that reflected my bottom line.
Well done. Well, you just missed the pitcher segment, so not all is lost.
Well, here's all the analysis you need to know. Jose Fernandez is pitching, so...
Jose!
That's I don't know how you guys talked for pitchers about 30 minutes when Jose Fernandez is pitching.
Well, we did. Because...
Did someone let Cardi talk about stats? Is that what happened?
They keep making that mistake. I don't know when they're going to learn.
Yeah.
As long as people keep listening.
All right. Well, you made it right in time for the hitter segment. So we'll go ahead and start up the catcher's short base. Listen to me.
Short base.
Oh my
Where's the
gosh.
soundboard? Can't you buzz yourself?
Yeah. Got to get yourself on that one.
Yeah, I stepped off the short base. So we're going to talk about shortstop, second base, and catcher. And first, so guys, I'll let you take it away with the catcher position, starting with you, Mike.
I think Buster Posey is the top catcher. He just crushes left-handed pitching. It's not a good hitting environment, but his skills are just so crazy against left-handed pitching. The other guy I would consider, I had originally faded the Yankees game because of the weather, but that's the one that I started out fading that I'm comfortable using guys in now. So McCann hitting cleanup. As Derek mentioned before, Chris Young's like an insane fly ball pitcher, like 25% ground ball rate for his career, but he's always pitched in, San Diego, Citi Field, now Seattle, and it hasn't burnt him too much. His ERA is always about a run lower because he has a low home run to fly ball rate in those big parks, but, in Yankee Stadium, it could be a recipe for disaster. So McCann and Posey are my top two. If you're looking at value, I like Miguel Montero and Derek Norris.
I'm pretty much on the same page as Mike here. Posey's my top overall. I like the value. McCann presents a little bit better. And it looks like the weather in that game right now is going to it's not going to be that much of an issue. It looks like the real storms are going to be rolling in well after the game is over. So I like McCann for value. I think Montero is a good, lower valued guy. So I'm pretty much on board with Mike there.
Derek Norris. He's super cheap.
Norris I wasn't on.
I don't like.
It's very small sample, but if you look at, it's not crazy small, but he's, hit left-handed pitching well, and he gets a big, park shift going to Texas.
Yeah, that park shift, and yeah, I can see Norris being a solid, punt-ish play.
Yeah, he's not my main target, but if you want to go a little cheaper, I could see it.
Well,
yeah,
I like taking Oakland catchers every night. Like Jaso is always less expensive, but they're always put in a position to succeed because they have that platoon advantage and they're always cheap. I don't paying up for Posey just like after that Rockies series. Like I need some time. We need to take a break. It's not him. It's me. But we need to take a break.
I think
that's a
Eric
losing
Stoltz,
strategy.
Yeah, it is.
I think Eric Stoltz is a better pitcher than he's been so far this year and that people give him credit for. Posey's still the top overall, but I'm not paying up for him tonight because I do think Stoltz is a pretty good pitcher and because there are other options. Norris is actually a pretty solid one. I have him down for, a relatively sizable true platoon split, and the park swing there is really good, even though Perez is a decent pitcher.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know. I hate taking catchers on nights when there's not a clear punt option.
There's some I hear people say this a lot, but I kind of like the catcher position because you get a lot of guys who have big platoon splits.
Yeah, you like those big platoon splits, don't you?
I'm a big platoon split type of guy.
Second base. Who do you like, Mike?
Dustin Pedroia. He hits lefties really well. I'm kind of on a Boston mini stack. If you're avoiding a bunch of the rain games, I think Boston's one of the best teams to target. Pedroia, I think he's got like around a 330 batting average, 420 on base percentage against lefties. I think it's a pretty safe play, and he's not overly expensive anywhere either. So he's my main guy. Secondary plays, I don't have many. I'm playing Pedroia most places. If you really want to punt, Jeff Baker, but unfortunately he's hitting 7th, which hurts his value. Aaron Hill's okay. His platoon splits aren't huge, so right on right doesn't kill him, and he's in a good hitter's park, but he's about the same price as Pedroia everywhere.
Yeah, I like Pedroia, especially if you're of the games that there's no weather concerns. I like Pedroia the best. I think Ian Kinsler has a ridiculously good matchup if what's the weather look like there now? Let me get an update.
Yeah, I didn't. That was one of the games I didn't.
Yeah,
touch.
the weather has calmed down, I think, a little bit since when I last looked at that. 0% to start the game, 30% midway through. So Kinsler, I think, he's got a huge park swing today. He's going into U.S. Cellular. He's up against a below-average pitcher in Jose Quintana. So I think Kinsler would definitely be my top second baseman tonight, weather permitting. I'm not on Hill as much because he doesn't have the platoon advantage. My system, while he has a below-average platoon split with my system, it's still there. It's still, it's non-negligible. I think I have a 15-point WOBA difference in projected for. So that's, that's something. Right. I think in terms of like lesser plays, like kind of punt plays, I think I don't know if we have a Yankees lineup yet, but Kelly Johnson or Solarte, or whoever. Let's say.
What about Kinsler versus Jared Weaver, who has his K rate has diminished every year for the last 4 years. Kipnis. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, Kipnis versus Weaver. He has the platoon advantage. Weaver's skills have been slowly declining for the last 4 years. He's up to a 10% home run to fly ball ratio. If you're going off the board, I don't mind that at all. And plus, I just like to play Kipnis a lot.
Off the board, I can see it, but I do kind of still like Weaver. And I think at that price range, I think Pedroia or Kinsler are better options. It looks like Brian Roberts and Solarte are the potentially second base eligible guys in New York tonight, so I don't hate either of them as a punt. Maybe not Solarte, since his price tag in some places is still higher than you'd want it to be, but I can see punting with Roberts.
Yeah, I'm just boring with second base today. I'm pretty much
let's move on. Well, I mean, we're already running kind of late because of Davis's calf tattoo, so let's move on to shortstop.
Tulo is the top play, but I'm on Bogaerts and Desmond. I'm keeping it quick for you.
Yeah, I love taking Bogaerts when he's in the right spot. Tonight he's in the right spot. You're killing it today, Leone.
I like Bogaerts too, especially if you're playing it safer with the weather. I mean, Eric Bedard's a pretty extreme fly ball pitcher. He's going into Boston, so I like Bogaerts. I think Danny Espinosa, I don't know where he qualifies, second or short at most places. Probably second, so he'd be on my second list.
Doesn't he? Maybe I looked at it wrong, but doesn't he isn't he terrible from the left side? I know he's a switch hitter.
I've got him down for an even platoon split projected.
That's interesting. I know historically that's not the case.
Yeah, I know we definitely do our platoon splits differently. I run a full projection with him where I regress it and weight it all based the proper amount based on my studies and stuff. I have him down 298 projected WOBA against lefties and 295 against righties. So I mean, it's basically non-existent.
Yeah, I like, and Kozar has shown some pretty big reverse splits so far, which is why I like Desmond. I think he's walked twice as many right-handed batters, as he has struck out, which is pretty insane. So I don't mind, and Desmond's a pretty even splits guy for a right-handed batter, so I don't mind him tonight, and I think sometimes he gets underrated because he's not a great on-base guy, but he's got power and some speed.
Yeah, I can... Wow, yeah. Okay. No, I think I kind of buy into even though it's a small sample, the reverse split for Cozart there. I mean, he throws a cutter and a curve, pretty much exclusively. And both of them are kind of like, they're like reverse platoon split pitches, so...
Yeah, I just challenged you, Mike, to a duel on Fantasy Elite.
It did not end well for Mr. Tuttle last night. Did not end well.
Soccer Davis challenged me to a game.
Yes, I have. So we will go over that. We'll also go over the...
Why'd you choose a slate with 2 rain games?
Yeah, David.
Oh, I thought I did late.
Detroit and Chicago, Toronto, KC.
My B. I will. I'll do another one. Don't accept that one.
Okay.
I'll do
His B, everybody.
My B. I'll do a late slate, and we'll do that. as far as the lobby, there are tons of NBA games in there in the Fantasy Elite lobby. So if you have an NBA hankering,
there's a 525 out there.
Who even likes the NBA?
You like the NBA? You love the NBA.
Dude, the NBA is.
I miss.
Oh my God! I was in Vegas and I bet the Spurs in the second half. Vince Carter, man, that son of a bitch.
Bruh.
I was sitting there in the sports book. Everyone was cheering. I was not cheering.
That's why you don't gamble, dude. That's why you just play DFS.
Yep.
Real gambling is scary.
It's true. He's got you there.
It's exciting.
It makes me sick, dude. I'm not any good at it. I think I lost like $400 on Super Bowl prop bets. It was awful.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. You got to get the Gatorade color. That's like a gimme. I mean...
I did. Well, I was heavy on Denver, so it was like Demaryius Thomas, over. Wes Welker, under, because Wes Welker sucks. Eric Decker, over. So it was pretty frustrating.
It sounds like you just took your seasonal biases into prop bets.
Yeah. And it would have worked. If
I joined the game. I'm on the clock. Should I be picking? Should I not have joined already?
No, you should be picking.
Okay. Sweet. Oh, man. So what games are in this slate?
These are the late slate, the 3 late games. But before we'll draft as we go through the show.
Yeah,
but
we got to talk about the power positions.
Yeah, man. First and third.
Oh, my God. You guys think I can do all this stuff at one time?
Dude, I can be on this show, I can be Snapchatting, and be replying to something else in the chat at the same time. You gotta step your game up, Leone.
Alright, let's roll.
Probably not something you want to brag about, David.
No.
So,
Everyone in the chat gets my full most attention.
Okay. First and third base. Who you guys like?
Dude, Beltray is just at stupid prices across the industry. Just lock him in and don't even think twice about it.
Lock him in, huh? You don't have to be that short and sweet.
Oh, okay. Belter is really good in his price. Scott Kashmir is a good pitcher, but sometimes his problems with right-handed batters and his fly ball oriented in Texas. There, I added some substance.
I can see that, especially if Beltray is super cheap.
Yeah, the pricing
I think
is just silly on him.
Yeah, I think third base though is very deep today. We're doing third base.
And first base.
And first. Okay, we'll start with third. I think Moustakas is a good play against McGowan, weather permitting. I think Nick Castellanos is a very good play at a cheaper price range against Quintana in
Derek,
U.S. Cellular. What's that?
Said you love the rain.
Apparently, that's what I said. All my guys that I like the best are in rain today.
Wow, I just checked though. That Kansas City weather just went from terrible to okay in like 10 minutes. So
yeah, that's Kansas, dude. It does that.
Right now, 0% chance of rain for the entire game. I'm looking at.
Yeah, that looks a lot better. Before it was like 52 hours before the game, all the way through, and it just all went away. So yeah.
I think Middlebrooks is good as well in terms of games where there's just zero weather concerns.
I like Prado again for another night. I don't know. Does that game have weather concerns?
No, it's in Arizona. So
yeah. Okay, yeah. So then it's fine. Yeah, that would be weird. It rained while I was in Arizona, and anecdotally, it rained pretty hard. But yeah.
No, I like Prado just because of the price. Ballpark. Chatwood's not that good.
What about the Rangers' offense not being that good against a good pitcher? I don't know if I agree with you. Like just to lock Beltray in. Is this just a like Beltray's skills demand that he be at a higher price and he has the platoon split type thing?
Yeah, I mean, in the model that I have, he's a top 10 overall hitter tonight. The only guy that I have, pretty close to him is Josh Donaldson, who's markedly more expensive. It just seems like it's so easy to fit in. Maybe he's not the best quote unquote value, but he's the top or co-top play and easy to fit in. So why wouldn't you?
Well,
I think you just defined value. I mean, if he's one of the top plays and his price tag is low, then that's huge value.
He's
right.
not.
I mean,
He's
but
not
you
in the
might
lineup
have
anyways.
like Moustakas might be dirt cheap and technically better value, but I know value is a weird concept in daily. I would just
It's a weird
I just
concept.
try
in
and fit in
baseball,
as many
too.
top plays as I can, and I think you can do that, especially with guys like Gomes and Victorino way too cheap in the outfield.
What's your strategy, Mike? You just basically you fit in as much of your top players as you can, and then you take the extra couple positions that are left and just punt them.
Yeah, I mean, or it depends. Like, I look at a lot of the gaps between the positions for not so much, the total value. So, like, I had Tulowitzki everywhere last night. I mean, I got lucky that he did super well, but that was more so because of the gap between him and the next best shortstop. Today, Tulowitzki, he's, my top shortstop, but I'm not going to fit him in. I've got, Bogarts, within, 20 hitters of him at, almost half the price elsewhere. So I'll throw him in. But I don't really do like a point per dollar type thing for baseball, whereas for basketball, I do that heavily.
Yeah, you have to do that in basketball, but for baseball, it doesn't really make sense because if a guy hits a home run, he's met his tag. Like, boom.
Yeah, because the scoring isn't, if you're doing, projections, you're going to get, decimal. He's got 0.5 home runs, but he's not going to hit 0.5 home runs. That base of scoring is so tough to achieve that
Yep.
I kind of more try to maximize my rankings of hitters versus I do projected point per dollar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that absolutely
not
makes
wording
sense.
that completely well.
Yeah, I think you absolutely made sense there. Are you guys ready to talk about first baseman?
I would love
Let's
nothing
do it.
more.
All right. I kind of like Morneau tonight. I'm assuming that Mike, your guys are going to be Ortiz and Napoli.
Yeah,
not as much
guys.
Ortiz, but I'm on Napoli for sure. Yeah, I think Napoli's a good play, especially if you're avoiding all the weather stuff. I think Teixeira is a solid play. He's a switch hitter who's a little better against lefties than he is righties, but not so much that it's going to make me ignore him, especially in a matchup against Chris Young. I think, though, the top play of the night is easily Miggy, especially with the weather looking like it's clearing up. I mean, he's going to an awesome park against not a good pitcher. His price tag hasn't been, necessarily as high as you would expect it to be. So I like Miggy a lot. I think Hosmer's good. Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. I think Morneau is a decent one tonight, but maybe not in my top, 2 or 3.
Yeah, my problem with Morneau is just that the price tag has increased dramatically because he's been so hot. So if you're paying for him, he's almost the most expensive guy everywhere.
Yeah, I think
so. For the people in chat who like Morneau, I agree, I like him, but in a cash game, I'm not giving him the most expensive tag.
The other thing about Morneau is this new guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name yet. Bolsinger, that he's up against tonight.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of like, I don't know, like a 2-pitch guy. He's got a fastball that's, not great. It's kind of slow, kind of straight. But he's got a pretty good curveball. And curveball is kind of like a good weapon to use against opposite-handed hitters. Like, his best pitch is his curveball. So that worries me just a little bit. Just the platoon split there maybe is negated a little bit. So...
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. But can you talk a little bit about why you like Napoli but not Ortiz, Derek?
Platoon thing's a big part of it. Ortiz is a good play. Bedard isn't a very good pitcher. He's a fly ball pitcher. I could easily see Ortiz, going yard on him, but I just think there's plenty of options tonight at first base, plenty of options in good parks against bad pitchers with the platoon advantage, with, everything else going, that I don't think I need to risk it on Poppy when there's so many other options.
Yeah, I've got them ranked about even, just because Ortiz for a lefty has, pretty good splits against left-handed batters, and Bedard's a pretty even splits guy. And then when you factor in, like one at-bat versus the bullpen, that could go either way. I think Napoli's got a bit more power upside due to the platoon split, but overall, probability of success, I think they're pretty close, and they're actually pretty evenly priced on most sites that I could go either way with those two.
The other thing with Ortiz is I think I might be going opposite of what Leone just said, but I have Ortiz down for just an enormous platoon split, like 175 points of OPS, 50 points of WOBA. Like I have him projected for a 307 WOBA against lefties, which is, that's below average. Like that's not particularly good.
Yeah, maybe he will. Is that just due to age-related decline?
That's just run through my whole system. That's just what it spits out. I'd have to go in and look individually to see why it's doing that.
Drop off since 2011. He's at a 383.
Yeah, my system definitely, it goes back more than just a couple years because you kind of need to, and then it weights it and regresses it.
Yeah, I mean that's 3 years in a month, but
there's probably some age-related decline built in because basically the way my system works is it comes up with an initial projection and then the platoon splits are basically split on either side based off the initial projection. So the initial projection is going to be less because of aging, and then just the platoon split itself is just enormous. So he plummets against lefties.
Word. All right. Well, before we do outfielders, let's give out the stacks. And I know you guys have probably talked about it a little bit, but Leone, if you had to stack one team tonight, who are you stacking? You got to choose between all your favorite little combinations.
I like Boston the best due to Bedard's even splits won't get like an easy out in that lineup, and it's a good stack if you look what Bedard's done the last few years. And if you buy into the small sample size early, it's really ugly from him. So I think you get that extra added bonus of a blow up start.
I think the Red Sox are a decent team to stack. Someone in the comments just mentioned that there's a little bit of wind blowing in, 11 miles an hour. It's not that bad, but it is cold, so that's going to depress offense a little bit. I think the Yankees are a good stack tonight. There's wind blowing in there too, and there's rain concerns. Also, maybe a little bit of coldness, but I think the Yankees are a good stack tonight. I think Detroit's actually an awesome stack tonight. Detroit's going to be my favorite stack tonight, weather permitting. And then some under the radar stacks. I think the Royals, and maybe a little mini Washington stack.
Mini Washington. I think I like the Yankees stack the most because Chris Young is just bad. I think him and Bedard are the worst pitchers going.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I've got a couple mini stacks in tournaments, split between the Yankees and Red Sox. This might not be the best example for me to make my point, but I've seen people stack against subpar fly ball pitchers and get burned, at least in cash games, because it's kind of, if you get those 2 to 3 home runs, you're golden, but if the fly balls aren't leaving the yard, so I'm looking more. I definitely want that home run upside, but I think Bedard's wildness is the slight tiebreaker for me. Is that
I don't know the Boston stack. Basically,
I think when you're talking about a guy like Young, though, it's not just that there's home run upside. I mean, he's a bad pitcher, even aside from his proclivity for giving up fly balls and home runs. Like he's a bad pitcher.
Right, but I mean that's mostly because he's fly ball risky. But not. I mean, not so far this year. But he doesn't have the same. I mean, he's got better control than Bedard. I mean, I'm looking at wildness and fly ball risky, and like I said, this probably isn't the best example to make my point. I think it was like Travis Wood in Yankee Stadium. There was somebody else whose name I can't think of. Just guys that I've learned. I think sometimes
I definitely take your point where I mean those are maybe
just for for cash games. So, but I think they're both good stacks, and I think we don't want to get blinded by small sample sizes, and they're really small sample sizes early for both these guys. But you got 2 guys with injury history that haven't pitched a ton. And they both have really ugly peripherals early, and I think that gives you a chance of just blow-up starts. So you're kind of looking at the potential for a blow-up start And I think both stacks are, good ones tonight because I think both guys could just be awful and pulled in the early innings.
Okay, well, and I think what always makes a stack is what it seems like to me is what always makes a stack is the outfielders that you choose from. I think because a lot of the times outfielders are likely to be the leadoff hitters or the 3-hole hitters for a team. So let's close the show with that. Let's go outfielders. Who's your favorite outfield play, Leone? One guy.
I'm giving you 3 guys.
Okay, lock in 3 guys, everybody. Not just one.
I got Shane Victorino and Gomes as like top 15 hitters, so they're easy plays for me. And if Carr goes in the lineup, his price is stupid. I know he's been hurt, but I'll play him at that price. So those are my 3.
Okay, am I doing 3 too? I mean, he kind of just kind of threw down the gauntlet.
3.
Like Davis was like, throw 1 out there, and then he's like 3. So do I have to do 3?
You can do whatever you want, but before you do, I'm just going to ask Leone a strategy question.
What's up?
Okay, so would you consider one of the most important aspects of daily fantasy baseball being super aware of price relative to skill? Like when you say Carlos Gonzalez has been bad recently, right? Or he's been hurt, but he also has that stupid tag. Like that seems like something that you place a lot of importance on.
Well, I have him as the number 1 ranked hitter. Probably when you add in some contextual evidence with the injury, maybe he's not 100%. He's probably not the number 1 overall hitter, but the price is low enough that it mitigates it for me. You've got like X amount of outfielders priced above him. He crushes right-handed pitching, and even though it's a drop-off from Coors, he still hits right-handed pitching on the road, and Chase Field's still a hitter's park. So, it's a combination of things. I won't always take him at that price, though. I won't. It's not like, Carlos Gonzalez, 4,400 on FanDuel, I'm taking him. It's Carlos Gonzalez versus a right-handed pitcher in a decent hitter's park for 4,400. Okay, I'm locking that in.
Okay. All right,
yeah,
cool.
I feel like there's 2 things you have to evaluate. It's like the player's underlying skill level relative to his price, and then the contextual factors that he's facing that day. So when you can combine the underlying skills and what's going on, then I think you kind of get the complete picture. Like there can be some guys with terrible contextual factors on a given day, but just because their skill level is so far above where they're being priced, they're worth playing.
Okay.
Yeah, the Rockies lineup just came out, and he is in the lineup hitting 3rd. And by man crush, Corey Dickerson's in the lineup as well.
Ooh, Corey Dickerson.
Oh, you
Seventh.
love you some
He's
Corey
in 7th,
Dickerson.
though, but
I do. All right, your turn, Derek.
Okay. Some of the Yankees outfielders I feel like you need to be on. Beltran, Ellsbury, maybe Gardner a little bit. I like Detroit's outfielders. I like Hunter a lot. Austin Jackson a little bit.
Do you like Rajai Davis leading off? Because he's someone who I found myself drawn to, but his price tag is really catching up to him.
Yeah, his price tag is catching up to him. He's not going to get the big benefit of that matchup that I like, which is the park shift, because he's not a home run hitter, so it really doesn't matter for him. Quintana he's an okay pitcher. He's not a bad pitcher like Young or Bedard is. So if you're not getting that park-related, potential home run spike, I don't like him as much as, some of the other guys today. That's why I like a guy like Hunter better, or Austin Jackson a little bit, because he's got some power. I think, weather permitting, I think Alex Gordon is a good play tonight. Aoki a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're good on Kansas City. It's starting to look really good weather-wise.
Yeah,
so I
it
think
is starting to look good.
Is it starting to look good?
And then in Boston, I agree that Gomes looks good.
You know what's starting to look good, guys?
Oh, I think I know.
I don't think you do know. You
I
think?
think I partially know.
But that you're right. That Kansas game does look good. I also want to bring up, bam, right now. Let's take a look at some of the weather. Obviously, Pittsburgh and Baltimore has been postponed.
Oh, this is so sexy.
Oh, you're sexy. No, you are. Okay. But, no, you're right. I am sexy. So, want to just basically avoid this Philly game. I mean, Cole Hamels, I don't think you want to don't think you want to go there.
Unfortunately.
I can't imagine in here. We can do even the future cast with these, so you can see. I think that the Chicago White Sox games, I wouldn't take any pictures from there. I think the hitters get in though, so still a little bit risky. Basically, as you can see with all of these, there's risk with all. I mean, as our good friend Ollie Smith likes to say. Well, I can't find the clip. But, yeah. Oh, here it is.
Wait, it's raining sideways! Sounds rough, Ollie. Do you have an umbrella? Had one! Where is it?
Dave, you've got,
Is there anything we can do for you? Bring me some soup! What kind?
Oh, that's because it's the same city. Oh, no, it's not. Chicago's in Cincinnati. I'm confused.
Oh. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, well, just mix them up, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll mix them up.
So this one right here, this is the Cincinnati game.
No, the Detroit-Chicago one is the Cincinnati map. Isn't it?
I don't think so. Maybe they're the same one. Yeah, okay. Sorry. I guess they are the same one. I'll get it fixed before we end the show. You've got some drafting to do, by the way, Mike. So get on that real quick. So yeah, this is I'll shoot back to you guys to finish up the show. The who to fade person, Derek. I know it's Jose Fernandez for you. I want to hear who Mike and
wait, Derek is fading Jose Fernandez.
Oh, yeah,
I missed that part of the show.
That's why we talk for 20 minutes. So
God, I can't.
That's who he's going to regret.
Although to be fair, I was fading him very heavily to start
It's raining
today.
sideways! Sounds rough, Ollie.
And
you have an umbrella? Had one!
Sorry, that was some.
And then when the Braves lineup came out, I backed off it a little bit.
Well, that was awesome.
That was pretty great.
You actually sound like Ollie Smith for a little bit.
Are there any other outfielders you guys want to talk about? Charlie Blackmon, Corey Dickerson.
I like Corey Dickerson.
Yeah, Dickerson's all right.
You apparently are high on this.
Ooh, I like Tony Campagna leading off. He's dirt cheap.
That's what I was just about to say.
Dirt cheap, and he can steal some bases. I think that's definitely worth like a risk.
And Chatwood is, I mean, he's not particularly good, but he does get ground balls, so matches up well with Campagna.
Would you say Campana is one of your favorite punt plays of the day, Leone?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't have a bunch. I had a few like mid-tier values that I really liked, but I don't think I had any like bare minimum. And he is like really cheap across.
I'm gonna give away my punt play. Brian Holiday, catcher for the Tigers, with the platoon split versus Quintana. He is dirt. He's the minimum on FanDuel, and I bet he might even be the super minimum on DraftKings. He might be 1.8, which is the price that only backup catchers are able to get.
I like that. If you're punting catcher, I mean, there's definitely some higher price options, but if you're punting, I like that a lot.
Yep. All right, it's time for guaranteed dongs, you guys. Mine's Tony Campana, obviously. So Leone.
Give me Carlos Gonzalez.
Cargo.
I'll take Carlos Gonzalez. Come on, it's such a boring pick. All right, I take Miguel
It was
Cabrera.
guaranteed. Can we do it guaranteed and an under the radar?
Yes, guaranteed and under the radar.
All right, guaranteed. How under the radar? Like, does Will Myers count? Reverse splits action?
He counts for under the radar.
Okay, those are my two then.
All right, my guaranteed is Miggy, and my under the radar is Torrey Hunter.
My guaranteed is Justin Morneau, and my under the radar is Blackmon. Does that count? Can Charlie Blackmon just be both of mine? He's going yard tonight. Me and Scott Pianowski are gonna be 20 years from now. We're gonna be. We're just gonna be telling.
Derek, can you tell me if Charlie Blackmon's actually good?
Oh, Charlie Blackmon's actually good. He's not this good, obviously, but he's a good player.
There we go.
Sounds
Does anyone
good.
else have anything that they need to communicate to the masses?
I think that's it. I mean, I don't have the link to this, but I will post it to Twitter because everyone wants to see me and Mike's game that we have going on. Tomorrow we'll have myself, Davis, unless he has any priorities that need to take place.
Dave, it was a non-refundable appointment that I made like 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. If you have any more priorities, then maybe you'll let us know about it.
I told you yesterday. I gave you 24 hours advance.
It's a tight ship over there at FI, Davis.
Yeah, I think what he said was, "Oh, I probably need to get somebody," and that was the last I heard from it. So, I'm going to let this one slide.
Well, thank you. I don't want to lose this job.
Yeah, next one you fired. But tomorrow we've got Cardi, Davis, and Tuttle on the show, and it's going to be a fun show.
Do I get to draft against Tuttle again?
Live, I promise. Yeah, Tuttle is going to get his chance to basically avenge the loss from yesterday. Mike, why don't you tell people where they can reach your guys' content at?
Yeah, if you go to rotoexperts.com/daily, you'll see the daily fantasy rundown header there, and that's where Dink and I have all our content, site-specific cheat sheets, and position-by-position analysis every day, and both packages come with lineup alerts up until roster lock.
Very nice. And you can also reach the articles that Derek and Ben and Tuttle and Laffy write on FantasyInsiders.com. And then Davis is handling the news and starting to really ramp up that. So that will be going on. Good stuff, guys. Want to quickly mention, again, our sponsor, FantasyElite. They got tons of NBA action. And the MLB games, if you want to draft now, if you want to draft later, there's late slate games to draft. But if you want to get a little bit of adrenaline rolling, I would suggest trying out the FantasyElite games. You can reach or you can play it on all your iOS devices. So go to the Apple Store and download the FantasyElite app. And then you also have the leaderboard for this $1,000 free roll during the finals. So there's lots of NBA action still going on there. So if you like NBA, you can still play over there. But good stuff, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later. Are you not gonna say anything?
Bye, everybody.
Later.
Oh, and happy birthday to Mike.
Happy birthday, Leone. Is that why he's wearing a suit?
Oh yeah, I'm not messing around, dude.
I was wondering if that was a joke I missed out on.
Happy birthday.
You did. You missed out.
To you. Happy birthday, dear Leon.
Yeah, that's too much even for Dave.
You were my sun. You were my